My apologies. I know I have been really bad about doing my videos, but school got really intense at the end where I had a bunch of papers that were due, and then I was graduating, so I apologize. I know. Mandy got one of hers in. I can't really give you any better excuses except that it was really busy with Arcadia and school ending, and I just couldn't. Too many things to juggle. But I am hoping to get back onto a good schedule and hoping to get videos to you as regularly as I can. Summer should be a good chance for me to do that, so we shall see. I come to you today with the review that I was hoping to do this whole time, which was Arcadia. Arcadia is one of the reasons I hadn't been doing reviews because it took up so much of my time that I couldn't think of anything else. I was stage managing, and you may or may not know what stage managing entails, but it pretty much eats your life, and it ate mine. But I loved it. Arcadia was a great show. It is full of educational material. It is full of all kinds of things for the actors and the audience to learn about the characters and the story and everything like that. So it was a great production. I was very proud to be part of it. And I mean, I was so proud to be part of it that I'm giving it as my review today because it is, in fact, the essence of what I do here. Part of it. Arcadia is the story of, well, actually, it's sort of the story of a house because this house is inhabited by characters from two time periods, 1809 and a more present day modern time. The original play had it set, I believe, in the 70s. When we did our version, we set it even more modern to what would be today. It's set in England, so this is an old family home. It has hundreds of years of history. The one of the main female protagonists, Hannah, is a garden researcher, and part of what you realize is that she's researching things from 1809, and part of it is that she has garden books from the family that go back all the way till that time and even before. In addition to things like the garden books, they also have records of what gets shot. The scientific character Valentine is doing mathematical grouse by using bird grouse figures. It's biology. It's the way you calculate population growth over time. And he's using, I mean, it's a very funny situation that he has hundreds of years of information to plot the growth of this bird population on their fields. But that's sort of the periphery of what's happening. The intrigue about this is that in the 1809s, there's this genius girl named Thomasina Coverley that begins to think about mathematics that don't exist in her time. Other people are sort of starting to think about it, but she can even see the ways that their thinking is flawed. But nobody wants to give her the credit of thinking about it because she's young. And if young people can think about these things, it's embarrassing that older people have missed it. So her own tutor, Septimus, sort of puts her off a lot. He says, "Oh, no, you don't understand what you're talking about. You don't, I mean, you can't do the math, so how could you know what you're thinking?" He's constantly belittling her thoughts. And she is constantly trying to show him that no, she sees it. People just don't get that she sees it. And she is right. The problem is she dies before it can be her theory. She passes away in a fire. And so it's sort of a mystery story where the people in 1809 are unfolding to the audience what's happened, and the people in the present day are slowly trying to figure out what their past counterparts found out, or what they did with their lives, and how it all mattered, and how it matters to them, how it still matters, how something in 1809, the ripples of such actions can affect the future indeterminately. So it's a story filled with science and literature and mystery and intrigue, a little bit of romance. There's a lot of characters that like to, behind the scenes, do the nasty, and it's sort of funny. And there's just so much that this story has to offer. There's also a lot of complications the story has to offer, and it's one of the things that I really didn't like about it. As a stage manager, I saw these people put the story on dozens of times. Dozens. Literally dozens. I watched this play dozens of times. And there were still things I was learning, things that the cast members, the people who were acting it, were learning up until closing night. And that's great. I love that. But how do you expect an audience to understand in one performance what you have spent months working on? And I think this is something that Stoppard does a really good job at trying to convey. I mean, the actors do a lot of the work, and people who watch it learn a lot of things, but they will miss a lot of things. And because they miss a lot of things, it's hard for the audience to stay engaged. We had two audience members, two very helpful elderly people who came to help with the teaching of all the very difficult literary and scientific works that were being talked about in Stoppard's play. He packed a lot in, and these two had seen the play 27 times, professionally done by a variety of different companies. And even through our actions, they were still learning things about it. And they had the background in the material that we were working on. They had the background in the physics. They had the background in the math. They had the background in the literature. They knew the Byron references. They knew the second law of thermodynamic references. They had seen this play and known this play so well, and even they were still learning things from watching us do it. And that's difficult for an audience. A lot of our audience members liked it, but they couldn't articulate why they liked it. They couldn't articulate what they had really seen. They couldn't explain what had really happened. And that's a downside. If you can't explain what you're seeing, you can't enjoy what you're seeing. And that's difficult. I think it's one of my biggest complaints with the play. But the characters are engaging, the information's a lot of fun, and Stoppard has shown it in a very fun way. It doesn't drag. I watched it dozens of times, and I was still interested in seeing it every night. And that says something. But it also says that it's hard for a college community. A lot of people didn't stay through the whole 3 hours of a play. And that was difficult. That was difficult on our actors. It was difficult on us as a crew to see people lose interest. And it wasn't the acting. The actors were doing great. We had professionals come to watch us that said that it was the best they'd ever seen the show. But 3 hours about complicated material is hard. It was a great experience, though, and I suggest that if you get a chance, you should read it. It's a lot easier if you read it before you see it, because then you'll be ready for what's coming to you. And you should see it. I don't often do plays, but I think that plays are a very valuable form of literature. It's why I majored in theater as well as English. And I think that the storytelling that plays do is very important. Actors have a very difficult job to show you what an author has written. They bring stories to life for you, and this is a great story that really needs the life of actors. It's hard on the page. It's great on the stage. So that's my review of Arcadia. If you have any questions or if you want to talk about it, if you've seen it, if you've seen good productions or bad productions and you want to say what you thought was great or bad about them, let me know in the comments below. And keep reading. There's so many stories to tell.